Hi guys! So, I'm 30 weeks. This video I turned on Wednesday and it's been the happiest several days of my life because I only have 10 weeks left and that's awesome. So, in the last week I have had a midwife appointment which went really well. She told me that my uterus has grown a bunch and she was also feeling my uterus to see where the baby was exactly. And she said he was head down, which is good, but doesn't really mean that much because it's so early, and he flips around all the time. I could just tell, you know, sometimes on my belly, sometimes his head is here and his butt's here, sometimes his head's down and his butt's up, and sometimes I'm pretty sure he's like this, but it doesn't matter. So anyhow, it's nice to know that he's occasionally at least head down. Maybe that means we'll be more likely to catch him head down rather than breached during labor. She also, when she was feeling my uterus, she asked me if I had been feeling any contractions, and I was like, no. But she said that just from the way my uterus felt to her, like to her fingers, it felt like I was in the middle of a contraction. So, I don't know if I'm not feeling them because I just don't know what they feel like, or if that's just what my uterus feels like and it wasn't having a contraction, you know? Maybe there's just, maybe it's just tight in there, I don't know. So that's all that was really exciting at my midwife appointment. Something that wasn't really exciting was I weighed 142 at this appointment, which means that at 30 weeks I had gained, or less than 30 weeks even, on Tuesday, I had gained 28 pounds, which is so much, but I don't know. It sort of makes me wonder how I'm going to feel after I actually have Jack, because first of all, I'm obviously going to gain more weight. I'm only 30 weeks. Second of all, if nobody was weighing me, I would think I had gained maybe 10 pounds. That's it. I don't feel like I've gained any weight at all. Maybe it's because when I look in the mirror, everything still looks proportional because my belly is completely different. I don't know. Not really worth worrying about because your hormones are supposed to help you put on weight when you're pregnant. But it was still a little bit like, what is going on? So, okay, so that's the only things that happened at the midwife appointment. And then general symptoms I have this week are still achiness, and I'm hungry all the time. Not like ravenously hungry, but just sort of like I constantly have a craving for something and I don't really know what. So, yeah. It's nothing terrible, but it's just like, it's a boring symptom, really. Okay, so let's look at my belly, because this week Jack should be right around 3 pounds, and I feel like I look large. Large and in charge. Also, I think I'm starting to get a little more of a curve to my lower back there. So hopefully I don't start feeling like I have back problems. That would be really miserable. I wish you guys could see this when I'm completely naked, because then it's just so much more obvious how my body has changed. Not that I really want to be an exhibitionist, but it's just, it's clearer that way. So that's really all I have for symptoms, all that's really going on this week. And I thought it may be interesting for some people who are thinking of getting pregnant, or even just comparing with their own experience currently, how pregnancy has affected our relationship. I wouldn't say it has permanently affected our relationship one way or another, but it does affect your relationship because it's a change in what's going on daily. So, I don't know, it's interesting. So, in the first trimester, first of all, we weren't super prepared for this. We weren't having protected sex, but we weren't really trying either. We were just sort of like, whatever, we're ready to have a kid. If it happens, but we're not ready to start charting anything yet. So, first trimester, there's like sort of a general feeling of a little bit of anxiety. There's a little bit of extra irritation between us. There was a little bit of confusion and like general misunderstanding type things were happening more. And I think that was a little bit us just adapting to the change in our lives, you know, because even though you haven't had a baby yet in your first trimester, you have that commitment that you've made if you decide to keep it, right? So once you decide to keep it and you say, okay, this is happening, then you have a whole host of ideas that you need to get used to. And I mean, your lifestyle is gonna change. I'm not a big drinker. I've never smoked really anything, but well, that's not true, but I've never been a smoker either. And I still changed my lifestyle kind of by a lot. So it's gonna make a difference. And then I think there is another aspect to it that I was feeling bogged down with all those first trimester symptoms of, you know, just mad fatigue and crazy hormones all of a sudden, and the nausea and all of that. And I think probably my husband was thinking, what the hell? She's not even big yet. Like, how could it be this bad? And, you know, maybe a little bit of irritation with me, maybe thinking that I was being a little bit dramatic, or, you know, he just didn't understand. And I didn't understand either. So we weren't in a position to help each other out. And I think that next time we are pregnant, it will just be easier because we will already have an understanding of how things are going to be, and that it will change, and nobody's making anything up, you know? It's just one of those things that it's confusing, and so it can create problems. We didn't have a terrible relationship in the first trimester, but things were definitely at times a little bit more difficult than they probably needed to be. What else? Oh, and for the longest time I really didn't want Elle to see me throw up, or really, I don't know why I felt this way, but I didn't really want him to be around when I was having morning sickness. And once I started letting him like actually see me throw up, then he was a lot more sympathetic about it. And I think that really contributed to him thinking things weren't as bad as I was making it out to be. What else? I think that's it for first trimester. And then second trimester, and I mean, you could have the switch really at any time when you start feeling second trimester feelings. But for me, I started feeling like I was in the second trimester more like at 18 weeks, when the nausea was pretty completely gone. I didn't have such feelings of anxiety, no real panickiness. Fatigue was gone. All of those things that were just like bogging me down lifted at that time. And that's also the time that I started feeling Jack move a lot. So, I mean, that's extremely comforting. I don't think I could have possibly realized how nice that would be before it actually happened. So, yeah, really before then, I think I felt a little bit depressed. And then, not because I was upset about being pregnant, but just because I was overwhelmed. And then around 18 weeks, everything just started getting lighter and clearer and happier. And feeling like my body was, I just, in the first trimester, I didn't feel like I was still in my same body. It just felt so foreign to me. And then in the second trimester, I really felt like, okay, I'm me again in my body and in my mind. Nothing crazy is really happening. I'm not a psycho anymore. And I think that really, really helps in my relationship with Al, because, he is dealing with a familiar person again. I feel like myself and I'm acting like myself. And, that's the person he tried to marry, not the psycho me. So, really, there was a lot of things that Al did in the second trimester that were just incredibly sweet, small little gestures, especially as I started to get more of a belly. Probably just because it became more, like the pregnancy became more real to him. And it wasn't at 20 weeks when we had our ultrasound, it was really when I started to get more of a belly. Or he felt the baby move, or, things like that were really tangible helped him a lot. I shouldn't say helped him, it's not like he had a disability with this, but it just brightened the atmosphere. And so, yeah, there's a lot of excitement in the second trimester, just because of all the positive changes and everything. So I felt like our relationship then was the best, really, that it's ever been. And, what better feeling could you possibly have than my relationship is wonderful right now, and I have a healthy baby. Like, that was just a high for me. And now I'm in the third trimester. I still really feel, for the most part, like I'm in the second trimester. I still have a lot of really, really good days and times, and Al is still nothing but sweet to me, and all that good stuff is still going on. I think the longer I am uncomfortable, the less pleasurable it's going to be, and the harder it will be on our relationship. But that's to be expected, It's easy to be around somebody who's happy and comfortable. It's not easy to be around somebody who's not. So we'll see. I'll talk more about the third trimester probably once it's over. But it's still interesting how it changes your relationship. And then, of course, just because you've gone through different challenges, you feel closer together. So it's different, and it's good. I told Al the other day that I wasn't sure I wanted him to be near me or around me when I was in labor, like when I go into labor. And he was really offended. But I just, whenever I've been in like really serious pain in the past, I really haven't wanted anybody to be touching me. Like, the last thing I want is someone to be rubbing my feet or my shoulders, I just want to go into my head and deal with it mentally and, do what I need to do. I don't want, I find it distracting to be touched. So hopefully we can find a happy balance on that front. But that should be another interesting thing of how that affects our relationship. So that's really all I wanted to talk about. I know this video got long, and I'm sorry, but I thought it might make it a little more interesting. So I will see you all next week.